Get out of here now, or I'll knock you out cold. That's what the MMA fighter growled, cracking his knuckles in the dimly lit parking lot behind O'Malley's tavern. This was the same guy my wife had been seeing behind my back for 3 months. I sized him up, his chest puffed out, muscles straining against his fitted shirt like he was ready to step into a cage match. Then I glanced at Sarah, standing next to him, arms folded, expecting me to cower like some spineless husband. My name's Ethan Caldwell. I'm 38, a former Special Forces operative with 14 years of service before settling back in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now I work in construction, framing houses instead of taking out threats in places most folks can't even spell. But some instincts stick with you, like scanning a crowd or spotting when someone's all bark and no bite. She's finally with a real man, Trent boasted, stepping closer. His breath reeked of energy drinks and cheap lager. Someone who can actually keep her safe. I gave him a faint smirk. Cage fighting's one thing. 14 years neutralizing threats overseas taught me 53 ways to end a confrontation without breaking a sweat. He chuckled, but I caught a flicker in his eyes, uncertainty creeping in. Perfect. You think your war stories intimidate me? He said, his tone losing its edge. I started rolling up my sleeves, slow and deliberate. Not because I was itching to fight. I wanted him to see the scars. Shrapnel marks from Fallujah, burned scars from a chemical explosion in Mogadishu. The jagged knife wound from a close call in Aleppo that should have ended me. Trent's stance shifted. His shoulders sagged just a bit. Ethan, enough, Sarah snapped, her voice sharp now. You're causing a scene. I looked at her, really looked. The woman I'd married 6 years ago, who used to trace those scars with her fingers and tell me she admired what I'd given for our country. Now she stood next to a guy who thought flexing made him a threat. I'm not causing anything, I said calmly. Just showing your new guy what real combat looks like. Trent took a step back, then another. This ain't finished, he muttered, but we all knew it was. I walked to my pickup, fired up the engine, and pulled out of the lot. In my rear view, I saw Trent lean down to whisper something to Sarah, something that made her nod and smile. It told me this wasn't just about my wife anymore. This was about a guy who thought he could bully a veteran and walk away clean. Sarah and I met at a diner near the base when I was still active duty. She was wrapping up her nursing degree, pulling double shifts to cover tuition. I was between deployments, trying to figure out how to act normal for a month before heading back to the sandbox. She made me laugh, helped me forget the things I'd seen, gave me hope I could build something solid when I retired. We tied the knot 2 years later, a small ceremony with just family and a few of my Army brothers. Sarah wore her mother's dress and teared up when I vowed to love her through whatever came next. I meant every syllable. Coming home for good was tougher than I expected. Civilian life felt sluggish, too quiet, too tame. I startled at loud noises, couldn't sleep. Sarah would wake up at 3 a.m. to find me checking the deadbolts, making sure the windows were locked. She never griped, just held me until the tension eased. I landed a job with Horizon Builders, putting up custom homes for rich folks in North Raleigh. The hard labor helped, using my hands to build instead of destroy. My boss, Mike Larson, was a former Marine who got what guys like me needed. Discipline, purpose, respect for what we'd been through. But over the last year, things shifted. Sarah joined a new gym, started staying out late, spent more time on her phone than talking to me. She said she needed room to find herself, called me too intense, too serious, too tied to my past. I should have seen the red flags, the way she pulled away when I touched her, the way she dodged my gaze at dinner. The way she started arguments over petty things, like how I stacked the dishwasher or bought the wrong brand of coffee. 3 months ago, she said she was staying at her cousin's place for a bit. Needed time to think. I learned about Trent 2 weeks later when a neighbor's kid posted a photo online. Sarah and some jacked-up guy at a downtown steakhouse, hands clasped across the table. I did what any reasonable guy would do. I drove to the gym where he trained, watched him spar, listened to him brag about his record, his technique, his dreams of going pro. He was good, quick, powerful. But he was also cocky, sloppy, the kind of fighter who leaned on bravado more than skill. The showdown at O'Malley's wasn't random. Sarah had texted me asking to meet, said she wanted to discuss divorce papers. But when I got there, Trent was already waiting, posted up by the back door like he was ready for a brawl. Like they'd planned it. Like they wanted to shame me in front of anyone watching. They'd pulled it off, but not how they thought. I sat in my truck for an hour after leaving the bar, engine idling, heater cranked, processing what went down. Not the standoff itself. I'd faced men with real weapons, real training, real reasons to kill me. Trent was just a loudmouth with a good PR game. No, what gnawed at me was the setup. The way Sarah had specifically asked me to meet at O'Malley's. The way Trent was already there, positioned like he was expecting a fight. The way she stood beside him, arms crossed, watching me like I was a sideshow. They'd orchestrated this. My wife and her new guy had staged a public takedown. They wanted me to back off. Wanted to prove to themselves and anyone watching that I was just another washed-up vet who couldn't hack the real world. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through Sarah's texts. Can we meet tonight? We need to talk about what's next. Straightforward, no hint of an ambush. Then I remembered something. In the bar's window reflection, I'd seen Trent holding his phone. Filming, the whole confrontation was recorded. My gut twisted, not from anger, from clarity. This was a calculated move. They weren't just trying to hurt me. They were trying to capture it. Probably planning to share it with friends, family, maybe even post it online. Look at how we made the big bad soldier tuck tail and run. I started the truck and drove to the house we'd bought together 3 years ago. Not the apartment I'd been renting since Sarah left. The house where my tools were still in the garage, where my service records were filed in the study closet, where I kept proof of who I really was. I spent the next 2 hours digging through documents, mission logs, medals, photos from ops I couldn't discuss with anyone without clearance, letters from co's who trusted me with their lives and their teams. Then I opened my laptop and did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into secure networks I still had access to, made a few calls to old contacts who owed me favors, pulled up details on Trent Wilson that he probably thought were buried. By midnight, I had a full dossier, his real name, his actual fight record, his bank statements, his business deals, his online footprint, his vulnerabilities. Sarah thought she'd found a real man. Trent thought he'd scared off a has-been soldier. They were about to learn the difference between fighting for show and fighting for real. I closed the laptop and hit the sack. Tomorrow, the real work started. I waited 3 days before making my move. During that time, I observed. I tracked Trent's routine without him noticing. Morning sessions at Peak Pulse Gym on Hillsborough Street. Lunch at the same smoothie joint. Afternoons sparring at Titan Fight Club. Evenings at O'Malley's or downtown bars, usually with Sarah. He was predictable. Loud. Always hyping his next fight, his training plan, his shot at going pro. Always making sure everyone knew he'd run off some washed-up ex-soldier. On Wednesday morning, I walked into Peak Pulse during Trent's usual workout slot. I'd done my homework. The gym offered day passes for $25. I paid and started lifting weights 2 racks over from him. He spotted me right away, pointed me out to his sparring buddy. They both laughed. I kept lifting. After half an hour, he sauntered over. "You stalking me now, old man?" I set down the weights and met his eyes. "Just working out, public gym." "Yeah, well, maybe find a different one. I don't like distractions." "For who?" He stepped closer. I could smell his pre-workout powder. "For you. When I'm training, I need focus. You're messing with my head." I nodded slowly. "I get it. In Iraq, distractions got people killed, but this ain't Iraq. This is a gym in Raleigh." I paid my fee like everyone else. People were watching now. Trent's face flushed. He was caught between backing down in front of his crew or escalating in a place that could get him kicked out. "You need to go," he said louder. "Or what? Or I'll make you." That's when the gym manager, a stocky guy named Ray, stepped in from behind the counter. "Trouble here?" "This guy's hassling me," Trent said, pointing. "Following me, trying to start something." Ray looked at me. "That true?" "Just lifting weights," I said. "Haven't spoken to anyone." Ray glanced at the other members who'd seen the whole thing. "Trent, you approached him." I watched it go down. "He's my ex-wife's?" Trent started, then stopped. He'd almost said husband, which would have painted him as the aggressor in a personal dispute. "He's what?" Ray asked. "Nothing. Just keep him away from me." Ray turned to me. "You causing trouble? Just want to finish my workout." "Then do it, both of you." Trent stormed back to his weights, but the damage was done. His buddies had seen him back off. Other gym-goers had heard him cry foul when he'd started it. Word would get around. I finished my set and left. In the parking lot, I noticed Trent's car, a flashy blue Charger with custom plates reading TKO. Loud, showy, perfect. I also spotted a small chip in the rear windshield, likely from road debris. The kind of flaw that could spread with the right pressure. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. But I snapped a photo of the plate and the chip. Insurance companies love pre-existing damage when claims come up. That afternoon, I called Sarah. She picked up on the 5th ring. "What do you want, Ethan?" "To apologize for the other night I was out of line." Silence. "You were embarrassing." I know, I've been thinking about what you said about me being stuck in the past. Maybe it's time I let go. What's that mean? I'm ready to sign the divorce papers. No fight, no lawyers, clean break. More silence. Really? Really, can we meet tomorrow, somewhere neutral? I'll bring the papers signed. Okay. O'Malley's 7 p.m.? Perfect. I hung up, smiling. Phase 2 was locked in. That evening I drove to Titan Fight Club where Trent trained in the afternoons. The gym sat in a gritty part of town, wedged between an auto shop and a warehouse. Through the windows, I saw him drilling with a partner, throwing punches, working submissions. I didn't go in. Instead, I parked my truck and made calls. First was to an old service buddy, Nate Carter. Nate had moved into private security after the Army. More importantly, he had ties to the MMA scene through his work at fight events. "Ethan, been a while," Nate said. "How's civilian life?" "Rough, need a favor." Info on a fighter named Trent Wilson, trains at Titan Fight Club in Raleigh. "What kind of info?" "The kind he doesn't advertise." Nate paused. "You in trouble, trying to stay out of it." "Give me an hour." The second call was to my neighbor, Evelyn Brooks. Evelyn was 70, a retired accountant who spent her days watching the street from her porch. She was also secretary for our HOA. "Ethan, how you holding up?" she asked. "Getting by, Mrs. Brooks, need a favor." "You remember when Sarah started hitting that new gym about 6 months back?" "Of course, she looked great. All that exercise did wonders." "You recall when she started coming home late at weird hours?" Evelyn hesitated. "You sure you want to dig into this?" "I'm sure." "Started in February. Valentine's weekend, actually. Left Saturday morning, didn't come back till Sunday night. You were on a job framing that big house for the Thompsons." "February. 3 months before Sarah said she needed space. 3 months before she moved to her cousin's. She'd been planning this for half a year." "Did you see her with anyone?" "A few times. Young guy in a blue sports car, big muscles, loud voice." "How loud?" "His car had one of those annoying mufflers, woke up the whole street when he picked her up. And he wasn't shy about their relationship." I knew what she meant. Trent wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was parading it, making sure the neighbors saw, making sure I'd hear about it. My phone pinged. Text from Nate, "Call me." "Got something good." I thanked Evelyn and dialed Nate. "Your guy's got issues," he said. "Real name's Travis Wilson, uses Trent for his brand. His fight record's not what he claims. Says he's 9-1 pro. More like 5-5 if you count the unreported bouts. He's been padding his stats with easy opponents or faking injuries to stop fights early." "Anything else?" "Been chasing big promotions for years. Keeps getting rejected. Word is he's got the talk but not the talent. But here's the kicker. He's been posting videos claiming he scared off some special ops vet who was harassing his girlfriend. It's getting him clout." There it was. Trent wasn't just humiliating me for kicks. He was using our run-in to boost his image, to look tougher than he was. "Nate, how hard is it to check someone's military service?" "With your clearance." 10 minutes. I'll wait." I spent Thursday morning at the job site, but my head was elsewhere. Mike Larson noticed over lunch. "You good, Ethan? You've been off all week." Mike knew about me and Sarah. He'd been through a rough divorce himself. "Just sorting some stuff," I said. "Need help?" Mike was in his 50s, solid as a tank, with hands that could crush concrete or finesse trim work. He'd done 2 tours in Afghanistan and lived by the same code we all did. "Maybe. You still got that contact at the newspaper?" "My cousin works for the Raleigh News and Observer." "Why?" "Might have a story for him." "About stolen valor." Mike's face darkened. Stolen valor was a gut punch to anyone who'd served. People died for that title, faking it was worse than nothing. "Someone pretending to be one of us?" "Maybe. Need to confirm first." "Let me know what you dig up." That afternoon, I used my clearance to check military records. Took 11 minutes to verify what I suspected. No Travis or Trent Wilson had ever served in any U.S. military branch. But his gym bio and social media claimed he was a former Marine with a tour in Iraq, using it to score credibility with sponsors and fighters. He'd been pushing that lie for over a year. I saved screenshots of everything. Then I called Nate back. "Need one more favor. Can you get me contacts for the promoters who passed on Trent?" "Probably. What's your play?" "Just evening the score." That evening, I got to O'Malley's 15 minutes early for my meeting with Sarah. Took a table in the back with a clear view of the room, old instincts. Sarah showed up on time, alone. She looked tense. "Where's the paperwork?" she asked, sitting across from me. I slid a folder over. "Right here, all signed, no fight. You can have the house, the cars, whatever." She flipped through the documents, her face shifting from wary to confused to relieved. "This is more than I expected. I just want to move forward." "What about Trent?" He said you might stir up trouble. Trent's not part of this. This is you and me. She nodded, but I saw her texting under the table, probably telling Trent it was safe. One thing, I said. What? I'd like to apologize to him too for the other night. Maybe we can all meet bury the hatchet. She blinked, surprised. Really? Really, I was out of line. Let me buy him a drink, shake hands, move on. I'll talk to him. Great. Saturday night, here works. She agreed and left 20 minutes later with the papers. I stayed, sipping a beer, finalizing my plan. By Saturday, Trent Wilson would learn that some fights aren't won with fists or bravado. Some wars need strategy, patience, and hitting where it hurts most. I paid my tab and stepped into the Raleigh night, ready for battle. Saturday night, Trent swaggered into O'Malley's like he owned it. Sarah trailed behind, looking uneasy. I was at the same table, 2 empty chairs ready. Ethan, Sarah said, sitting cautiously. Trent agreed to meet. Trent stayed standing, arms crossed. This better not be a trap. Just want to clear things up, I said, nodding to the chair. Drink, he sat grudgingly. Beer, make it fast, got training tomorrow. Speaking of training, I said, pulling out my phone. Saw your fight clips online, pretty solid. His chest swelled. Yeah, I've got sponsors lining up. Big moves coming. Must be tough, though, all that military training in Iraq, then switching to pro fighting. Sarah frowned. Military training? Trent's jaw clenched. I don't talk about that. Fair, I said, scrolling my phone. Lot of us keep our service private. What unit were you with? 3rd Marines, he said quickly. I nodded. Funny thing, yesterday I checked the DoD database. No record of a Trent or Travis Wilson in the Marines. His face paled. There is, however, a long trail of you claiming to be a combat vet to score points with sponsors, fighters, and apparently women. You're full of it, he said, voice breaking. I showed him the screenshots. Empty search results. Stolen valor's a federal offense, Trent, but that's just the start. I pulled out a folder. Your real fight record, the failed drug test you hushed up last year, the promoters who dropped you for being unprofessional. The gym fees you've been dodging for months. Sarah stared at him. Trent, what's he talking about? And this, I said, showing my phone again. Video of you threatening a U.S. veteran in this parking lot, then posting edited clips to look tough. His face went from white to red. You can't prove any of this. Don't need to. I already sent it all to Mike Larson's cousin at the Raleigh News and Observer. Front page tomorrow. Local fighter exposed in stolen valor scam. Trent lunged across the table. I was ready, grabbed his wrist, pressed a nerve point I'd learned in Aleppo, and watched him sink back, wincing. The difference between us, I said softly, isn't that I'm tougher. It's that I fight wars, not just matches. The Raleigh News and Observer ran the story 3 days later. Local MMA fighter caught in stolen valor scandal. It detailed Trent's fake service claims, inflated fight stats, and quotes from gym owners confirming he'd trained on unpaid dues. Within a week, Titan Fight Club kicked him out. Peak Pulse banned him for good. 2 sponsors pulled their deals. The regional promotion he'd been chasing cut ties, denouncing stolen valor. Sarah filed for divorce after learning Trent had been charging his gym fees to her card. She moved back to her cousins, this time for good. The man she thought was a protector was a fraud in every way that counted. Trent called me twice, left voicemails swearing it was all a mix-up. I deleted them halfway through. 6 months later, Nate heard Trent had moved to Georgia, trying to restart his career under a new name. The internet doesn't forget, though. His rep followed him. I kept the house, found a new rhythm, started sleeping through the night. The hyper-alertness that had haunted me since leaving the service began to fade, replaced by something I hadn't felt in years. Calm. Mike Larson offered me a stake in Horizon Builders. Said he needed someone reliable to grow the company, someone who knew the difference between building up and breaking down. I said yes. On quiet nights, I sometimes thought back to that night at O'Malley's. The moment Trent realized real strength isn't about muscle or intimidation. It's about knowing who you are and standing your ground. Some fights are worth fighting. Others teach you that walking away is the strongest move of all.